Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to give a review of the Garmin Forerunner 955 running GPS watch. I want to talk about how I've been using it, give you a little walkthrough on its features, and talk about whether it's worth it in 2024. So let's get into it. First, let's start off with the display, the most important part of the watch. So the Garmin Forerunner 955 has a MIP, a memory and pixel display, which is like not an AMOLED type display, and it's always on. So, which means after even its light is turned off, it stays like this constantly, and you can see the screen is always on and always updating. And overall, I would say it's awesome. This is the first year that Garmin has introduced a touchscreen on their watch, on their Forerunner lineup. Before, they didn't have touchscreens. So it does have this touchscreen. It's very useful. I use it to scroll through the widgets and everything, which I do love. And there is a way to turn off the touchscreen for certain activities. For example, if you're in running mode and you know that you think, you'll get the screen sweaty and you'll click some buttons by accident, no worries, you can always turn off the touchscreen. So overall, I think the touchscreen is useful. Even in runs, sometimes I use it. And the memory and pixel display, no complaints at all. It actually gets brighter when the sun goes out, so when the sun is reflecting on it, it gets brighter, which is pretty cool. So you can see it very easily in the outdoors. So I do love that. Next, I kind of want to talk about the user interface of the watch. So if you click this top right button over here, the start-stop button, it takes you into the sport modes. So this watch comes with a ton of sport modes. Here are just some of my favorites: run, strength, treadmill, bike, trail run, track run, skiing, soccer, football, volleyball. They even have yoga, stairmaster, basketball, cricket. They have a cricket mode, Pilates, hike, and then they have, if I click add over here, they have like so many different sections. Like, let's go into winter sports, snowboarding, skiing, every type of skiing, ice skating, racket sports. They even have motorsports over here, motorcycle, ATV. I don't know why you would track like an overland, like that's on your Jeep, I guess, but I don't know why you would track that, but if you wanted to, it's right there. So that is pretty cool. So next, they're the widgets. So right now I'm on the home screen. You can either click this down button over here or scroll. So I'm gonna click down, and you can see widgets. So you can set this up in any way you want. I have my first widget as my training readiness. Then I have my 5K and 10K race predictions and everything. So I can cycle through that. So let's see. So 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon. So you can see all that. And then your training status, HRV, weather. This watch does have HRV, which is great. Weather, race calendar, steps, sleep, whatever you want. Calories, heart rate, altitude, acclimation, Pulse OX, which I don't really use, but it's whatever. It's pretty cool to have. And yeah, you can even add more widgets, like everything you can do with Garmin. There's just more and more data that you can add. So that is pretty cool. And the widgets, I don't refer to them that much, but sometimes it's just fun to scroll through. You can see everything about your running. It is pretty sick. So yeah, that's basically the basic interface and widgets. If you hold the side button, it takes you more to settings type menu, where you can set your alarms, your watch face, and see your activity history. So this week is Monday, so I've only done one run today. So you can see your activity history over there. And then holding the top left button, this one right over here, it gives you a flashlight. Oh no. Sorry, if you double tap it, it gives you a flashlight. Otherwise, it takes you to another operational menu. You can set timers. You can play a sound on your phone. Do not disturb, whatever you want. It even has Garmin Pay, which I haven't set up. But if you wanted to, you could use that. So that is basically the basic interface, and all the menus that you can need are on this watch. So obviously this is a GPS tracking watch. It will track your runs, your bikes, your swims, whatever you want. So there are multiple modes on this watch. It actually has every mode possible really on a GPS watch. So there is GPS only, which is good battery, and we can see good accuracy. I don't know why anyone would use this. It's just maybe if you're doing a longer event and you don't want that much GPS, I don't want to take that much battery, you could use that. Next, they have all systems, which is very good accuracy, you know. And then they have all plus multiband. So multiband means it takes multiple satellites from up above, and it gets that to get your GPS signal. So if you're running in the city, you're running in the canyons, you're running in the mountains, I would use all plus multiband mode. Sorry, I exited out of the screen. Yeah, so all plus multiband. Then there's auto select, which is pretty cool. So if you're not sure, you're like, I don't know, all systems on multiband, what should I use? You can turn on auto select, and if you would use normal all systems on mode when you're running around the neighborhood, but let's say you go in a heavily wooded area, it'll recognize that and turn on multiband. So multiband takes up the most battery, but it is the most accurate. I just happen to keep it on at all times like that, just because I don't really have a problem charging my watch if needed, so I would definitely use that. But all systems on is also excellent, and you'll have no problem with GPS at all if you use that. So overall, that brings up one of my only complaints of this watch, and for its price point, I have to come back just to the build quality of the watch and how it feels. This watch, as I talked about earlier, its case is entirely made out of plastic, and it doesn't have a sapphire screen. The screen is made out of Gorilla Glass. So that kind of brings up the thing, like, if Garmin is charging $499 for the non-solar version of this watch, you would kind of want at least maybe a metal bezel on it, some sapphire glass, which would be nice. And I understand that Garmin has its Phoenix models for that more durability, but overall I think even competitors such as Coros are offering their Apex 2s. Even the Apex 2 base model has some titanium on it, something. Even on the back, it has a titanium back glass, like a back over here. And I think that's the only thing Garmin's lacking. I understand that it makes the watch light, but overall, just for this price point, having at least just a metal bezel would be cool. And bringing up this metal bezel, I'm not the only one who has complained about this. And in the Garmin 965, which is their next predecessor, the next model to this, there is a titanium bezel around it, which is nice. But in the 955, I feel like they could have introduced that earlier, and it would have been a good idea for the company. So yeah, that's really one of my only major complaints with the watch. So next, I want to compare the 955 to the Garmin Forerunner 255. And I'll put a picture of that up on the screen right now. And as you can see, they're pretty similar watches. They come in identical sizes as well. And when getting this watch last year, I was doing my research. I was looking, what should I get? Like, what is worth the money? And I knew I wanted to buy a Garmin because at that point I had tried my second Coros. I had the Pace 2, I liked it. I upgraded to the Apex 2 Pro, and I must have got a faulty unit or something because the GPS was awful. So I knew I kind of wanted to get a Garmin, and it was between the 255 and the 955, and I watched so many reviews, so many different articles online, and I found out that mostly you should go for the 955 if you want the better battery life and maps. Those are the two biggest features. So the extra battery life, I know I'm running ultra marathons, I'm running so many miles a week. If I don't have to worry about charging the watch as much, that's great for me. But in comparison, the 255 also has multi-band GPS, so that's still a great option. And also maps, I don't use them that often, but when I use them, it's like really essential. Like if I get lost in some place, wherever it is, New Trail, New City, I can navigate back to my start and do all that, which is excellent. So I would say get the 955 for the better battery life, for the maps. And one other feature, as I talked about earlier when talking about the widgets and everything, training readiness, you don't get that on the 255, which is a little bit strange, but that's just software. So I don't get why they don't do that, but you don't get training readiness on the 255, and I love this feature. I love the score that I get. I won't say I train off of it, but it is pretty useful. So yeah, that's my just thoughts between the 255 and 955. So then I know I'm talking about the 955 right now, but then there's also the Garmin Forerunner 965, which is the next generation of the watch. And that watch has been like a huge step forward for Garmin's lineup because it's the first time using an AMOLED screen. And I'll put that up right on the screen for you right now. But the AMOLED screen basically means it's very similar to the screen of an Apple Watch. And when I was buying this watch, the 955, the 965 was out as well. So once again, I had a choice. And I'm like, I don't want that big bright screen at all times. I like the memory and pixel display always on. There's always on the OLED, on the AMOLED, but you know, it sucks up a ton of battery life. I'm like, let me go for something that's tried and tested in the Garmin lineup, which is their memory and pixel MIP. And you know, it's really good. The battery life, it just holds. It's excellent. So that's why I went for that over the 965. Otherwise, the 965 and 955 have identical features. So whatever updates the 965 gets, the 955 gets as well. So identical features right there. And the only really cosmetic difference is the metal bezel, which we talked about. But I would say if you want the AMOLED and that's important to you, go for the 965 and maybe the promise of updates going on later in the future. But otherwise, at least for now, the 955 is a perfectly viable option if you have no problem with your memory and pixel display. And I don't really see why people would have a problem using this type of display on their sports watch. It's really perfect. And also less scratch resistant. More scratch resistant, sorry. So I would say that's definitely worth it. And lastly, the Forerunner 955 comes in a solar version and a non-solar version. I have the non-solar right here. I didn't need the solar version. I just figured I just didn't need solar. And if you do get solar, it's not necessarily going to add battery life, but more so like extend it so your watch doesn't, if you're in the sun, it'll just kind of take up less battery more so, like charge itself again, rather than just increasing your battery by 10%. No, that won't happen. So currently this watch comes in at a price point of $500 upon release 2 years ago. But right now you can get it on sale for $450 for the non-solar version on Garmin's website. Not on Garmin's website, I believe, but on various different websites. I saw it at Walmart, saw it at Best Buy. So Garmin still has it full price, but they also knocked it down on sale a couple of times. So if you want solar, go for it. But if not, this is an excellent option. So yeah. People have described that the Forerunner 955 is the Phoenix 7 in a Forerunner case, which I think is a good way to think about it. So, yeah. Price point, I would say it's fair, it's expensive, and it puts it at a premium price point. But you couldn't ask for any more in a watch. Like, you literally couldn't ask for more features in a running watch. So, I would say it's certainly worth it. Alright, guys, and that is my review of the Garmin Forerunner 955. I hope you guys enjoyed and you learned something. And if you could subscribe and like and comment any questions that you have, I'd be happy to get back to you. So thank you all for watching and have a great rest of your day.